ladies and gentlemen.
That's not what you're
Spawncast
supposed to
episode
say.
3. I almost hedged. That was close. It was so close. 394. Why, Sean? What was I supposed to say? I wasn't going to just copy Game and Talk.
Jews and Gentiles.
It's more your intro. You gotta keep it for yourselves.
That's a good point.
I don't want to encroach on the Game and Talk turf.
All right, I'll allow it.
Okay, well, yeah. So there you go. If you didn't check it out, Game and Talk happened this week. Go check it out. But welcome to Spawncast episode 394. It's our final episode of 2024. Technically our holiday episode, I guess. So I threw a couple holiday questions in there just for fun. But everyone's about to go on holiday break, play some video games. So I want to get everyone together here before then, so we can, well, not Sean, but everyone else, so we can hang out for a bit here. Let me go around. We got MVG back on the show.
Great
I do want to give a shout out MVG because we did the fundraiser for Toys for Tots, and you came in with the big 250.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that was a success. I heard you guys raised a bunch of money for it, so happy to help out.
$1,500 got
Happy
raised
to help out.
So shout out to MVG. Just wanted to point that out. That was very generous. So good to have MVG here for the holiday shows. We end 2024. We also have Celia with us.
Hey, how's it going?
Celia is now on. You're now on winter break.
Yep, I'm gonna relax until the 6th.
Good stuff. Got I'm sure some games lined up, which we'll talk about. See what everyone's gonna play maybe over the holidays. We got Josie here from the cabin. Josie, how we doing?
Yep, happy to be here. The Wi-Fi
it's all coming down to that cabinet behind you. That's why.
That's why they say it's a cabin. I don't know. It's not really an actual cabin. It's a house, but I'm out in the boonies, so what can you do?
Okay. Well, good to have Josie here. We also have Evan, of course, hanging out. And then we got Sean, RC85.
Hello.
Sean is with us. Sean's going to be working through, he's going to be slaving away through the holiday season. Videos all over the place, right, Sean?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
What are you even going to talk about next week?
He's just going to go to his grandma's and hibernate. That's all it's going to happen.
That's the plan, pretty much.
That's the move. That's what you're supposed to do during the holidays, man. Good food, hang out on the couch, and watch. Well, in your case, basketball. I'd say football, but you're gonna be glued to the TV Christmas Day for basketball.
Oh, good question. Good question right here. Yeah, Celia, the fuck's up with that?
Oh yeah, obviously no full-time job. Definitely a student. Josie and I actually go to college together. Fun fact. Video game studios, they shut down for the holidays typically. So we typically have a long studio closure, winter breaky kind of thing.
That'd be fun if we went to college together. We'd go crazy.
I know. Well, I'd be the oldest one there.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Like actually.
Is that how it is? Is that how it is though for a lot of game studios? I go on break for a couple weeks. MVG, you're on break for a couple weeks. Celia's on break. I guess that's Yep. This is a trend. So then who does have to stay behind and make sure that, like, for Christmas Day, all the stuff doesn't light on fire when everyone tries to sign in?
You just don't release anything on Christmas and you should be okay.
I mean, for like all the servers and stuff for Nintendo and Xbox, Microsoft and PlayStation and
I mean, there's been times where servers have been down over the holidays.
Just leave them down.
Yeah, fuck them.
Just leave them down. It's a simpler time. You just had to make sure the shrink wrap opened fine. Oh well. Well, I did pick out some topics for today, but I also thought we'd look back on 2024, and it's one of those situations where it feels like the year goes by really fast, but then I start bringing up and I start looking at a lot of the stuff that happened, because there's like a whole list of like all the major gaming events that were recorded, and it's like, oh yeah, that did happen this year. I forgot, or even games in general just coming out. That seems to catch people off guard there too. But I do want to, of course, give a shout out to the Spawncast Network Patreon over there. You guys did turn in some questions for us as well. So I'll go through and give shout outs to the members there that dropped us some questions, the mailbag stuff. We'll do that towards the end of the show as well. And we'll also have a section later on for any super chats and stuff that come in, not to derail any of the topics or anything we do. So I'll get all of those as well for people asking in the comments there. But let me start off. This isn't necessarily video game related, I guess, but I was curious anyone's thoughts on the Superman trailer, if you saw it, because it seemed like it blew up online. Obviously, it's the next big Superman trailer and is like, it's #1 trending, tens of millions of views pouring in just a few hours. Any thoughts on the direction that James Gunn's going with this one?
I liked it.
Okay.
But I'm also Superman casual. Like I would watch all the movies with my dad, so I'm probably gonna go watch this one in theaters as well. That's it. It was good. It was really feel good in the trailer. I was really hyped about it.
Didn't watch
Remember
it.
when,
So I can't
yeah.
really speak on it.
Really, you
Give
guys
a
don't like
fuck.
it? It was
No, I
so
didn't
cool.
say I
There's a
didn't like
dog.
it.
Spoiler.
I
didn't
don't
like it.
like. I'm not. I mean, let's be real here. All right, Superman was kind of lame when we were kids. All
No,
right,
was it?
Can
It was
I
cool.
finish?
No.
Superman
Okay,
was
sorry.
not cool. He was a dork until the death and return of Superman. Then he got cool. Before that, you had fucking Christopher. I got thrown off a horse. Reeve.
Oh wow.
As Superman, you know what I'm saying? So like, Superman wasn't hot in the streets. It was like Batman was Batman. You had
Batman was the
movies.
cool one.
Yeah,
I will say
Batman was
that.
the cool one. Superman was kind of like, whatever. But then the life and death thing. I mean, that fucking brought Superman to like a whole new. I was like 4th grade, 5th grade, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. Like, look at the fucking cover art.
Well, the death thing surprised people. The life thing pissed everyone off because they remembered that comic book writers can just retcon anything that happens and not give a shit.
But it was still cool. It was still cool enough to get the buzz going.
No, that's because they showed him as someone who can die. Because I mean, prior to that, and even after that, it's always he can always become what he needs to be to win. He can throw his voice anywhere. He can create a smaller version of himself with equal power. They always do weird stuff with him, but the opening to this was him bleeding in a crater. So they are trying to humanize him again, which I think works better for the characters to show vulnerability on someone who's supposed to be invulnerable.
Also,
but it brought out
who's the big villain that did that.
They showed Metamorpho and Face, so they might have the arc where he is bad but then becomes good. I don't know, might be something like that, because Metamorpho messes people up, so he could be a good villain.
I'm just saying, if you had Batman cartoon greatness, Spider-Man cartoon greatness, X-Men cartoon greatness. Who's talking about Superman?
Justice League Unlimited.
When they went to the
greatness.
Justice League Unlimited,
God, that was so good.
Shitty game too. That was a shitty game. It wasn't.
He
a good
killed
game.
Darkseid in that series. Like killed him. Like outright killed him.
He probably deserved it.
There was also not much. There wasn't much dialogue in the trailer either. Like it's just a lot of music and a lot of scenes happening, and they showed, I'm sure, a bunch of cameos that, like, Evan, you probably recognized more so than like I did, for example. But there was everyone showed a lot of characters. He can be able to pull that off in this movie, having like people are counting like 15 different people. They
probably won't be consistently there, but who knows?
I mean, I thought it looked cool. I'll be checking that one out when it drops next year. So
they recast that actor, right?
For Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a new actor they brought.
They're like rebooting it.
James Gunn wanted to break away from all the prior characters. They recast everyone, even if they bring in other like Wonder Woman and everything. It's going to be a new character instead.
That's the other problem with DC is they've rebooted DC. Whether it's
they do it like every 5 years
because they never get it right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, he had to put out a video just trying to explain like what is here and what's over here and what's part of the reboot and what's not. And it's very confusing to start, but maybe when they get moving, it'll flow a little better. But it's I thought it looked good. I'm interested, and it is probably the best take of Clark Kent versus Superman in terms of them actually looking different. It's always been like it just looks like Superman with glasses. So at least there's that. It's more believable, I guess. So I don't know. Next, it's in July, so 6-7 months away. Yeah. Christmas related question. All right. I need to know, in the households, are they fake or real trees?
Fake.
My tree is made of garland and it wraps around a pole, and you pull up the garland and then you put the pole in the middle of it and it just hangs up.
I just picture a bunch of like just simple pieces of metal with just little strands of green coming out of it, kind of twisted in a corner for you.
No, it looks all right. It's not great, but it gets the job done.
Okay, so I'm realizing there's a trend. I've seen a lot, like more so now than maybe when I was younger. I don't know, MG, do you ever go out and like just chop down trees and stuff for your living room when you were younger? Or did that ever happen?
No, John.
No?
All of my friends do that.
Where he lives, it would be a palm tree, right? Like,
yeah, it was in fucking England, dude. They didn't have fucking trees like that in England.
I don't know where he's been at. Maybe he's moved around in his life and ended up somewhere where they had trees they could chop down.
That's more like, I don't know. That's kind of like a southern thing, I think, more so than
Northern California. It's a thing. All my friends do it. I don't do it because I'm allergic to them, but
So I will say
thing.
that we have a family friend that every year they'll send us a wreath, which is made of it's a real one made of pine needles and stuff. And that thing just sheds pine needles everywhere in the house. So the first thing that we do is we leave it outside for like 24 hours so all the pine needles, shed away. And then we put it in the house. And it turns out pretty good. But I don't know, man. Like a real tree in the house, I feel like I'm kind of a clean freak. So I'm thinking about the cleanup at that point.
And he also doesn't have it. John, you have a bunch of little rugrats running around. Nobody else does. So we're not, we don't have to posture here's the tree, here's the elf on the shelf here.
We have all like
coming.
We have just a couple of fake trees here. But when I was younger,
a couple.
Yeah, so we have.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we
must be nice.
One in every room.
One in the living room here, and then
one downstairs,
one in the other living room. So, and then
I've never even heard of that
little one. So, now we used to cut down trees all the time when I was younger. We'd have to go out and we have to walk all the way out in the field and find one and saw it till it fell over and then throw it up on the car and drive it home. And
this is why you like God of War 2018 so well.
It was kind of like that. Yeah,
you have to check them for praying mantis egg little balls to make sure that they don't hatch while.
MG, you're right. The thing would shed needles constantly, and it just get on the carpet every day, and you'd have to water it. So we have to get a cup of water and dump it in the basin every day.
This is just too complicated for me.
The worst part was getting rid of it. That was the worst part. Because you had to get it down, and then as soon as you did that, all the needles on it fell off. Every one of them
we had a system, picking it up, moving it to a giant trash bag, cutting it in half while standing there, then pulling the giant trash bag up to prevent the needles from falling. It was great.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. So yes, the fake tree, much easier, especially if it already has lights on it. That's how they are now. They already have lights on it. You can hook it up to your cell phone, and it's a whole thing. So, but yeah, I don't blame people for just going the fake tree route. It's significantly easier.
What's the appeal of the real tree? Like just the smell
triggering memory, and that's it. So you just get an infuser, just burn some pine.
I mean, I get it, but it just
sounds going to the Christmas tree farm is kind of fun. Like you cutting it down and stuff.
Like picking out the tree.
Is it?
So. Well, around here,
no.
Josie's right. Around here, you I don't know if they have those there, Josie, where like around here, like the Boy Scouts and stuff, they'll do basically like fundraiser things where they're already cut the trees down. You go to the lot and they'll just throw it up on your car for you after you pick one out. You don't have to cut down or anything.
That's what they do here too. And then they have like hot chocolate. My town's so small that everybody knows each other. So you just kind of see everybody, which is fun.
Yeah. So that's easier than having to go out and cut the thing down. But it is mostly just the environment that the tree gives off when it's in the living room MVG. But then it's also really annoying every day. So
upper class white people shit. Just go ahead and say it.
I mean, usually you get a tree, just go out to the place. It's like $100 and you just come home with the tree.
Probably no, John. We didn't have computers growing up. We didn't have real trees. We got that fucking $29.99 Kmart special. And that's just what we had. It worked.
Spend Christmas Day with your uncle putting out cigarettes on you. Yep. We know your history.
Yep. Might even steal a cigarette. Who knows?
Calm down there, Mr. Mortal Kombat on Christmas.
Hey. Bitch,
couldn't all get
return it. Yeah, I had to return it.
Some of us had to sit there with the NES.
I had that first, John. I'm older than you.
It's the first class over there with the Mortal Kombat. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, Sean, gift giving for Christmas. This was actually brought up in one of the comments on one of my news shows, and I looked at it and I thought, you know what? That is interesting because MVG, you brought up the idea that you might be getting a game or two under the tree, right?
Yep.
Like it's just how it's been for decades. You get gift giving, you get games and stuff under the tree, and you open it and play them and stuff. I thought about that though, with the idea of like digital in general taking over. Will there eventually just be a point where you just have like gift cards or just cards under your tree and that's it? Like you don't get
V-Bucks
games,
card.
Nothing.
For my friend's birthday, I got her V-Bucks.
Got her 100 V-Bucks, or you cheap?
Yeah, V-Bucks.
It was her 21st birthday, so I got her Fireball, and I taped V-Bucks to the back, and she was like, open it, and she goes, oh, Fireball, and she turns it around, and she was like, V-Bucks.
Incredible.
She was really excited about.
I think we're already there, John. Like,
yeah, we've been there.
Like maybe the little kids Like I got my cousin's little shithead that SpongeBob Patrick game, or I guess I don't know, kids like SpongeBob, I guess. If not, he can go fuck himself. But it's mostly gift cards to places and like one or two little things, and buy whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I'm seeing the trend as well. Finding physical games is getting harder every year. It could be like, I mean, obviously Nintendo, they're still going to make physical games products for a while, but like anything on PlayStation or Xbox, it's a bit of a gamble to find a digital copy. A physical copy sometimes.
Yeah, eventually though, no physical copies. We'll say in like 10 years or something. That Under the Tree's gonna look crazy in general for gift giving.
Think about GTA 6, right? That would be, I think, a very popular Christmas or a holiday gift for a lot of people, especially if it's supposed to be coming out, before the holiday next year, which remains to be seen. But let's say it does. I think there's a lot more, value in having the actual physical disc wrapped under a Christmas tree than just a PlayStation gift card or something.
It'll be a box with a code in it. It's been the consistent.
I mean, it could very well be.
They might go there. Yeah, it might be the move. Is just you put a little code in there and that's it. Or
special edition systems just to get people to want to buy that.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about that as like a lost time where in 20 years it'll be like, oh yeah, we used to get games under the. That's right. And now you don't even know about toy stores or any of that. I don't know.
Thanks, Obama.
It's all Reagan's fault.
Did anyone get a chance to watch any of the secret levels on Amazon, the shows? I just figured I'd throw that out there and ask if anyone watched them.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Browsed through a couple.
No? Okay. Okay, you did watch a few, Evan. I watched a few as well. I just picked some out that I'd be interested in to see how they turned out. But basically on Amazon MVG, if you're unaware, Sean, I feel like you would have mentioned that you watched one of them or something.
Yeah,
on Amazon Prime. No, okay. Basically on Amazon, they have Blur, who is the studio that has done some incredible work in games, like for the cutscenes. Like for one of the best known ones, I feel like for them is the opening for DC Universe, which I remember, Evan, you remember that hit, and that was crazy when that came out.
There were some early Blizzard ones that were known more because they were getting started there.
You get the idea. They're very, very good at like that CGI stuff that they do for storytelling, opening cinematics. They went and they picked out a bunch of different IPs and they made anywhere from 5 to like 15-minute episodes that are just that kind of introducing or going through some sort of storyline with it. And some actually have some like pretty good star power to it. Like Armored Core, the main character in that's voiced by Keanu Reeves.
Oh.
So like they brought people in for this stuff.
Pretty sure they face scanned him too for that. He basically looked like himself.
Yeah. And that Armored Core is a very good episode. I like that one a lot. And I watched Mega Man, of course, which was kind of disappointing. It was like 6 or 7 minutes and it ended in probably where most people wanted it to begin. But it's kind of like a little origin story, I guess, for them. And maybe that's what we're seeing is just some of these IPs being introduced in like this universe that they've created, but they've already been greenlit for season 2. So I guess it got some viewership on Amazon. The PlayStation episode is probably the worst one. PlayStation episode is just bad. It's like Kratos is in it for 5 seconds. They didn't have any good cameos that I was thinking they might do. And I
remember when we talked about this last week with Gene, and that's where you got the Kratos thing because he said that he appeared in 5 seconds.
Yep. And I was like, okay, well, it hadn't been out yet because he got an early screening for it so we could do reviews for it. And the second half of the episodes just came out this week. So like Mega Man was in there and the PlayStation was in there. So we just got a chance to really finish it and check it out. And I was kind of disappointed on some of them, unfortunately. But I think it's interesting. The Pac-Man one is probably the weirdest because it's not at all what you'd expect Pac-Man to be. Was there any that stood out to you, Evan?
I mean, the Pac-Man one was the best one, I think, because it just took it a whole new way. I mean, it basically made it Eldritch horror. Like, it was just fantastic seeing that thing just consume people for fun, basically.
Yeah, so Concord, as weird as it sounds, is probably one of the better episodes as well, which is a real shame because it's dead. So there you go. They introduced characters. They actually added to the lore, and it looked like it was going to then go into the start of the game, like the cutscene they did for that to show it off. So Yeah, it's a shame. There you go. But I mean, I would recommend checking at least a few of the episodes out if there are any that catch your eye in terms of the IPs. Sifu was kind of cool too, but let's see.
Soccer game. So there's soccer in there.
No, it was kind of them going over different parts of the game, sort of in this one like 6 or 7 minute cutscene, kind of like episode. So like gets older as he dies, and they do a whole storyline with that. Let me go to 2024 in gaming. First of all, how'd everyone feel about 2024 since we're just about done? Like it's just about over at this point. I don't know other major game releases are coming. Well, hold on, there is one. Sean might look at it later on. Stay tuned. But there are no major other releases coming up here. I guess at this point. So how does it, just from an overall view, what do you think? Gut feeling on 2024 in gaming, whether it's games you played or just the industry.
I mean, I could skip this question. Everyone knows what I think. I said it a million times.
Sean loved 2024 is like his favorite now. Yeah. That was great for Sean.
Soft year. Let's just say that. Soft year.
I disagree with Sean. While I do think it was a bad year for the industry, obviously, like we had so many layoffs. It was so upsetting, and studio closures and mergers and all that stuff that just gets rid of the autonomy of a lot of my friends. But for indie games, it went pretty hard. Like I was making a list of games that I've played this year, and primarily, like I would say 90% of my list were of games that released this year. Like I've played like 40 games, and that's crazy. That's like so many, and sure, some of them are more bite-sized style of games. But it was really good. Like I was like looking, and I'm like UFO 50 was really good. Berserk Boy, Anton Blast, Duck Detective, Arranger. Like there's just so many games that I had so much fun with. Little Guardsman, which is a game I just played recently. It was incredible. I don't know. I had a lot of fun this year playing different games. And then with the bigger releases, though, there were, not as many as previous years. Like I had a lot of fun with Zelda. I had a lot of fun with the Persona series and Metaphor. And I just finished downloading Indiana Jones. So I'll let you guys know eventually during my break if I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. So I was like, cool, I'll give it a shot. I think I've mentioned this before, but MVG sent me I think it was like a video of the cat, like that you can take photos. Was it you?
Yeah.
Or am I crediting that to you?
No,
okay, cool.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you made a face, and I was like, "Oh man, I just assigned that to you." But anyways, so yeah, and I'm like, I just want to take photos of cats, and I think that's really funny. So I'm playing the game for cats. That's my.
How many of those indie games that you had on your list involved cats?
Not many actually.
Interesting.
I think out of that, because like of the list, like there's like Animal, Plucky Squire, Baltro, Bow, Thousand Resist.
I thought you didn't like Pluck. Wait.
I put games I've played, Sean. Very different.
But you said that you made it seem like it was 40 some odd games that you really liked. And if Plucky Squire is on that list.
Okay, games I liked from my list, okay? Animal, Baltro, Bow, UFO 40, Stardew Valley. That's not 50. New, but I played it for the first time this year.
That doesn't count.
Okay, Berserk Boy, Anton Blast, okay? The Big Con, Thank Goodness You're Here, Duck Detective, Minuko's Night Market, that has cats in it. Class of 09, that didn't release this year. That's actually a really degenerate game. I should have admitted that. Arranger, let's see, Love Ghosty, there are cats in that. MEO, Super Monkey Ball, like Metaphor, Space from the Unbound, that has cats. Iron Meat. The new Mana game, I didn't play that for very long though. Monster High, I don't know, Magical Delicacy, Monkey Island. I played a little to the left. That didn't release this year. Neither did As Dusk Falls, Pokemon Sword. Sorry, the list goes on. I've played a lot of fucking games this year, and it was really fun. So I would say like some of them had cats, Sean. Some of them.
Just checking.
Sorry, that turned into a rant.
That was good. Put him in his place.
Thank you. Yeah, I can keep going if you guys want. Okay, continue, guys. Continue.
Okay, Josie, what you got?
I think 2024 was all right. I don't think it was like super magical. I thought 2023 was better. There wasn't anything super huge or crazy for Nintendo, and I liked Zelda and I liked Astro Bot, and I still have to finish it. And I've played more of it. I know last time we talked about this on the Spawncast, I got grilled. I have played more of it, and I do like it. I think I just had more of like a low key year with gaming this year, and I think there just weren't too many bangers like previously. But it just depends on what you're looking for. Because like I played a bunch of retro games and had a great time with that. Fortnite had some good seasons this year, so like I had fun, you know.
But the discussion for both of you involved games that we're talking about games that were released this year, right?
That's what I'm saying.
A
And so
lot
I
of
said
my
games
list.
that this year are not.
But you just said
as
retro
great.
games.
That's what I said personally for me though.
I'm just asking for clarification. I do
Well,
not
I'm-
need to be
okay,
yelled
so
at.
I'm
It is
trying
the
You're not
holiday
making the point
season.
you think you are.
I'm explaining.
It is the holiday season.
Oh my god, I'm explaining.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right.
Sean rediscovered the N64 this year.
I'm
So
playing the
he's-
Saturn right now. What are you talking about?
You're like half listening to everything and then picking a problem.
Yes, that's usually that's normally what I do 90%
It's
of the
just
time.
kind of
on the show.
insane.
What do you think, MVG?
So, as you guys were talking, I just wrote a list of all the games that I've played to completion this year. I'm going to read them out because it's not very many games, but Silent Hill 2, The Thing remastered, Dark Forces remastered, Until Dawn remake, Erdtree DLC, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Astrobot, not Astro Boy, and Star Wars Outlaws. So, what are we looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4 games in that list that are remakes, remasters, 1 DLC, and I guess 4 just.
You played through Prince of Persia, didn't you? Lost Crown?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, let me add that to the list. Prince of Persia. What did I think this year went as far as video games? I thought it was all right. I kind of agree with Josie. I'm not as strongly negative about this year as Sean is. I think if you're a Nintendo fan, maybe this year was a little bit lacking as far as content. Actually, let me rephrase it. There was a lot of Nintendo content this year, but maybe quality content is what I was trying to say there. But look, it was a decent enough year. I think for many studios and stuff, it's kind of a rebuilding year in many ways, right? Xbox obviously had their ups and downs. PlayStation have had theirs as well, but throughout this, the last 12 months, there's been some decent games, decent things that have come out, and I've played and finished my fair share. So I'm not that unhappy about this year, but I think next year's, at least, if everything kind of works out as planned, it's going to be a much better year for games.
Yeah, I kind of think next year is going to be at least pretty good in terms of release schedule, and I think, and then obviously Nintendo starting to move a bit more than they did in 2023. I think all three companies come together, platform holders anyway, and have some pretty good games release. I did pull up 2024 as basically what happens is throughout the year, people record on Wikipedia all the major events that takes place. And I pulled up for January, and the first thing was the 13-year-old Willis Gibson, who became the first person known to beat the NES version of Tetris by reaching its kill screen. And then the next 4 or 5 things are just this company laid off hundreds of employees. This company laid off. It's just like a whole block of layoffs that just hit immediately after that. And as I'm going through, it really is. It's like you start to realize as you go and kind of add them up, but see them all stacked up, is a lot of people in the first quarter that were just completely laid off. So it's interesting to just kind of see it laid out here like that, and sort of the tribulation, I guess, that the industry went through in that time. Even like February, Sony Interactive Entertainment laid off the 900 employees. Electronic Arts then laid off 670 employees. So it was wild stuff at that point. Then I flew all the way down to February, at the end of February, for Toys for Bob, which split from Activision, became independent. So outside of that, though, looking and trying to go between a lot of the layoffs that were pointed out. I mean, Nintendo shut down the 3DS and the Wii U, the eShops and stuff there. And that's something that's still obviously being discussed now with like homebrew and modding community trying to almost set up their own servers and like what is it called, MVG Pretendo. And
Pretendo is really good. If you can play Splatoon on your Wii U, without really doing anything. You don't even need a hacked Wii U anymore to play.
Oh, really?
Nintendo. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know
It's
that.
legit.
Jeez.
It is legit. Check out Pretendo.
I have to hack the Wii. It's just like, is it like DNS settings and stuff? I guess like to point it in the right place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh. We had Microsoft closing down Tango GameWorks, but then it got revived technically by Krafton. So that was a lot of studio closures as well. And then we had GameStop shuttering Game Informer. Meta closed Ready at Dawn. And Nintendo and Pokemon Company going on Pal World. So it's like all the industry stuff that happened for the most part. But 2024 was an interesting year, I guess. And looking at 2025, Microsoft's kind of start to set up a lot of their releases, and I think they're going to have something in January to start really getting things dated and moving along. But then so far with February, we have a bunch of stuff kind of piling in there. So I think at least the first quarter or so will at least get things moving for 2025. So I'm at least looking forward to the start of next year, especially if we do get Nintendo moving a bit more. I think it could be a better year overall. With MG mentioned like we had like some, I don't want to say mid-tier releases and stuff, but it was a lot of good games, we can
Smaller
say,
games.
and then just a handful of incredible great games.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's a year that is good, but not like overwhelming necessarily.
We didn't have
in
any
my
like
mind.
massive bangers from Nintendo, like that one that you can point to that was huge, you know?
That's true.
That was a near door remake. I know it's a remake and it's my game of the year every year, but that game is so good.
Yeah. It's just a remake though, I think is the tough part about it. And it's an RPG that doesn't appeal to like
How
everyone.
dare you guys?
The year isn't over yet. There's a Wukong game coming out.
Shh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Sean's gonna cover that.
All right.
It's a big 400 megabyte download happening over there. That game. The Tuner to Sean's channel, but
Next
day
week.
after Christmas or
Yeah,
something.
the day after Christmas. It might be the next day. I don't know what I'm doing the day
Christmas
after
miracle over there.
Are you streaming Wukong?
Yes.
Wow.
In a way. In a way.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
He's playing modern games coming through on Sean's channel.
I
It's crazy.
beat plenty of I've thought about more modern games that I beat this year.
Oh yeah.
What
Zero.
was that game? Song of the Deep. You never played that?
No, I didn't play that one.
Played that because
Song of the Deep. Hold on. Was that what
Nate
it's called?
said
It was a Game Pass game that he just randomly was like, "Oh, it was up there. Check it out."
no, because Nate was like, it kind of reminded him of the thing, and I was like, oh, word, let me get in on that.
That was the one on the oil rig, right?
Yeah, it was pretty
It
decent.
looked good.
Dominus Collection. Do you know that on my Switch recap for the year, that was my most played Switch game?
Oh,
So if you count people playing remasters and remakes as playing new games, beat that. Oh, Still Wakes the Deep. That's the name of it. Thank you.
yeah. I looked up
Jeff
Song
Van
of the Deep. That does not look like the game you played.
That was Song of the Deep was that GameStop published PS4 game, wasn't it?
It did not look like because the game that we were talking about before, the Still Wakes the Deep, was like a very ominous looking game where it was almost like horror kind of centric, sort of.
It was pretty fun, honestly. I mean, the gameplay was fine, but the story was interesting enough.
You beat Star Wars Outlaws?
I beat Outlaws, beat Indiana
haven't beaten that
Jones,
yet.
beat Indiana Jones. You beat Indiana Jones?
Not yet.
Sit the
yet.
fuck down, pal.
Still
That's
working
all
on
I
it.
have to say.
I'm in the area
Still working
after Shanghai. No,
I've
yeah.
put 45 hours into it, and I think there's still a few more like artifacts to find. I don't know if I'm gonna find them. One of them I think might be glitched too. Like I even looked up like where it was, and like it's nowhere like where it shows on the map. And I think it's one of those areas where when you first go into it, it's different than when you would revisit it. So yeah.
Okay. You gonna go back to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to finish that one up?
No.
Oh well. So wait, does that mean that you're not going to check out the final one in the trilogy?
I mean, I might.
Probably for a video.
Man, I didn't. Did I do Rebirth in a video? I don't think I
mean,
did.
You mentioned it here and there. With,
Yeah,
like,
but
the
I don't think I
padding,
did it dedicated
but
on
I
it.
don't think you did.
I mean,
No,
just
don't think
I don't know. Like, if it looks good and it seems interesting, and maybe I'll check it out. But it's not high on my priority list.
so. Okay, fair enough. But the reason I brought that up, Sean, is because you made a video that I thought was pretty interesting: the modern versus retro gaming.
Yeah.
This has been discussed. I feel like this has been a thing at like a debate at length for now. Like it's been covered constantly, but every year it's like modern gaming, of course, gets a little more added to it versus the past 30 years or so, going back for retro gaming. But what was your take on that?
Just give away my video. I buy the cow and you get the milk for free, right, John? No, it was more so of just kind of like an open thought process as to why people might feel that way. And I think one of the main factors is just kind of how fast the industry moved comparative to now. Consoles lasted 4 or 5 years. 2 years into a new console's life cycle, you were hearing about the next thing. You were seeing previews for the next thing. You had so many console manufacturers in there as well, which are always challenging people. You had the invention of genres. Most games today are perfecting a formula of a genre that has already existed. Now, modern gaming has the benefit of, better graphics, more refined control schemes, more options for stuff like that. Digital can go either way. There is the convenience factor, but then there is the overall looming presence that, sooner rather than later, Sony and Microsoft and probably by extension Nintendo as well will have complete control over their marketplace, thus dictating the prices. And you might not see the sales that you see nowadays, but it's something that I feel like if you weren't really around and paying attention during like the late 80s to early 2000s, the generational jumps, the wow moments, the just how fast everything moved. And it's funny because technology really moves faster today. But for video games, it seems like that's not quite the case, at least in terms of hardware. Hardware seems to last longer. And look at the Switch, look at the PS4, And so I think it's just a combination factor. And there is no right or wrong answer. If somebody were to say modern gaming is better, awesome. You're right. Retro gaming is better. Awesome. You're right.
Yeah, I mean the idea of not being able to, for example, patch a disc that you bought for the PS2, just as an example. I mean that has a lot of issues there. Whereas we see companies now that may rely on that completely. Like it needs a day one patch, but we also have to ship this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a double-edged sword
the death of a lot of creativity, which the indies have definitely picked up and help with. But if you want any sort of creativity, that's why Jack Move plays a lot of indies, because he likes to play kind of off the beaten path sort of stuff. And I think if that's the kind of games you want, where, you're having new avenues of storytelling, new avenues of gameplay, new avenues of graphics and stuff like that, you kind of have to go to the indie side, because big companies can't afford to do something like that. Because if it doesn't sell 5, 6, 7 million copies, then they're fucked. And they could shut down. And it's not a we're in a low. It's not like when Capcom was fucking around in, the early 2000s and, things looked a bit shaky. No, if that would have happened now, Capcom would be out on their ass. Someone would have came in and bought them, or at least bought some of the IPs, or they would have sold some IPs off. It's just a very different ball game. You could sell 100,000 copies back in the day, being on retail shelves. No, independent distribution, none of that stuff. And that could be considered a success. That's getting a green light for a sequel, for, possibly a cartoon and shit like that. It's a different ball game now. Gaming has gotten so much bigger. And with that, some of the passion has been removed for the business side, the corporate side. The companies themselves get bigger and bigger and bigger to where they need to sell 5 million copies.
Yeah, I think we also came up during that PS2 360 era, where a lot of the franchises now that have like sequel number 8 were kind of created around that time. So I'm sure that feels much more creative then versus now. But now we just have, there's so many games how many games were published to Steam even this year, I guess.
But that's another thing that I think is kind of a negative, because without any sort of, it's bad to say, but whatever. Without any sort of like, okay, go on the Switch eShop. And the hentai game that released last week is now included in a new bundle that has the one from 2 weeks ago, and they've re-released it. Like, there's so much stuff that comes out, and there's so many games that come out that it's kind of hard to stick out. It's kind of hard to get noticed unless you get a little lucky and maybe some rando streamer plays you, or you end up getting some good reviews. Like, I'm sure Celia can attest to this. It's fucking hard to stick out in the indie scene because of how many games tend to come out. And if you don't get a little wind behind your ass, like, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, Steam in general, it's not like you get platform support like you do like on Nintendo or PlayStation, like, where you reach out and you plan and coordinate. Steam is all algorithm based, and I think on average it's probably gone up like 10,000 games release a day on Steam.
I looked at the amount. I did look up the amount for, okay, so 18,687 games were released on Steam in 2024. Of like notable ones. I assume that's weeding out a lot of like you get the $1 thing that's attached to the game, and then it's like there's 20 entries with that. But it basically comes out to 51 like official quote unquote games released per day on Steam this year.
But what's the total for like every day though? Like, do they have those numbers?
50 something, right? He said it was 50. You said it was 50.
No, that's
50,
notable
50.
games.
Like notable games, like I guess games that they would have like a certain criteria.
Where am I
this is over on SteamDB.
I feel like at GDC everyone quotes that number. Hold on, am I misremembering?
It might be because in 2023 it was only 50 games a day.
It's starting to sound like Reggie over there, John.
No, it's on SteamDB.
Do you think that's too many? I feel like that's too many.
Maybe they've been a year and I'm misremembering. Probably.
Yeah, no, it's like 50. Last year it was 50 games a day, and it is a little bit too many, but it's mostly because they get around it with the early access stuff, which is why they completely changed that rule on Steam. And you can, if you do early access and then don't keep going with releases, you get screwed over and get completely drained of all your money.
How does Steam measure that though? Is it by store page creation, or is it by like, the amount of playtime or something, some minimum amount of playtime? Because a lot of people have store pages set up for games on Steam that never got released, or they're they're just sitting there.
That's a good question. Yeah, they just have it on SteamDB. They count it, and it's like exponentially grown since 2013, basically.
Because now anyone can make a game, and anyone can publish their game. You could be on Nintendo, you could be on Sony, you could be on Xbox. You could put out absolute slop. Go look at what's come out on Xbox recently as far as digital distribution. Go look at what's come out on the Switch as far as digital distribution. There's a lot of bullshit in there. And it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse with AI, because a lot of these asset flip games are going to be easier and easier and easier and easier.
Hasn't there always been a lot of bullshit games though, to be honest?
Not to this level.
Not to this level, but like, I don't know, like if you think of like, I don't know, PlayStation 2, for example, how many games released on that console, and then how many games are actually notable, or like what we consider an analytical standpoint of like good.
But Stefan said here, there were more games released on Steam in 2023 than NES, SNES, PS1, and PS2 combined.
Well, it's like, I don't think world's releasing now. Like, it's not.
But I don't think that's necessarily a fair comparison. I mean, obviously there was shovelware. If you really want to talk about shovelware, you can just look at the Wii, and there was a ton of shovelware.
Yeah, I was going to say
a ton of shovelware on there, but it was still at least somewhat controlled, because you had to have a publisher. You
had to make a plastic case and a disc.
You had to make a case. You had to make a disc. There was some sort of risk involved with that, as far as a monetary thing. Whereas nowadays, if you're, I'm not trying to, diss, people that are creating indie games, because there's a ton of great ones.
I've seen some of the eShop titles, Sean. I think you can diss some of those. Some of those games are crazy looking.
But yeah, it's like there's no sort of quality control. There's no sort of baseline standard. There's no sort of anything.
Well, for release, yeah. Curation, as one of the few people here who probably uses Steam heavily, like I don't get a lot of that in my feed ever. My discovery queues never seem to have it. Like, it just seems to work. And it's also given me some incredible games that I've played this year that were indie, that it was like, yo, you might like this. And yes, I did. And it's awesome.
And the Nintendo seal of quality was bullshit.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was for third party to prevent people from making their own games.
I wonder how many games released on the eShop. I don't know if that information's out there. Expected to be. They say they expect 2,300. The eShop just seems to have a ton of junk on it constantly on that recent tab. So that, and then Steam. I'm curious what the total number of games released in 2024 are. Like, I want to know how many, because if Steam has that kind of number and then you just throw in the others, I mean, we have to assume it's well over 20,000 games came out this year, which is just ridiculous. So in that case, you're right, John. It would be hard to stand out. Whereas when you would go to the store, you had so many games in front of you they could put up on the shelf, and you judged it by the cover, and that was kind of it. And the back,
And
I
the
guess,
back.
if you were allowed to pick it
Yeah,
up,
the back.
if you're allowed to. Sometimes they hung it up on the wall, and you weren't allowed to even grab it was like everything was just on that cover. It's like, we'll see what happens. But
magazines too.
That's true. I mean, now no more magazines really.
But I mean, you also have a computer in your pocket.
That's
like,
true. That's
like
true.
I remember they got me with Castlevania 64. Went to a Target, and it was me and Pecker Dupree, and my mom was buying some shit, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" There's Castlevania 64, and I hadn't followed it or anything like that, so we told my mom like, "Oh yeah, we'll do some shit around the house, blah blah blah, whatever." And then we bought that, and it was oh man, man, it was bad.
That's so
it was interesting back then though. It was so much quieter. So you would get your magazine, and it would just be kind of you and maybe a few friends who would also have the magazine, and you just talk about what was there. Now it's like as soon as something happens, it's just the entire world yells about it on Twitter, or just social media. It was just so. I mean, technically, it was like you were siloed off from everyone else. So I think there were more interesting opinions back then, actually, to be honest. So
well, it was more. I mean, you didn't really have troll opinions that gained steam either. And if you were smart, you would convince your mom to get a subscription to one magazine, and then you would have your best friend get a subscription to another. And then when you were done, you'd exchange.
You guys are hilarious. Okay, so this is what really happened back in those days, right? Yeah, there was communication, obviously, and social media was just not a thing. However, there was a thing called Usenet forums, news groups.
Oh, here
internet
comes
news
the
groups.
old man.
And the flame wars and the wars going on between Genesis fans and Super NES fans. I mean,
those 50 people would just go in.
Dude, there was a lot going on. Google Groups, check out Google Groups and go to one of those old news forums, those video game forums. I don't remember what they were called, but you'll find some gold in there. Absolute gold.
Might be a video coming up, MVG, where somebody found forums from the 90s and the early 2000s. Might be looking at those.
How edited is that video going to be? Jesus Christ!
You know what? It was a different time.
You're just gonna let it ride? Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Let's go.
Although it's really funny. There are a lot of hopes and dreams, by the way, of like the Dreamcast, like how great that was going to be, and how Sega was back with that. And there are a lot of talks around.
We still get that.
And Sony and Microsoft, and everybody hated.
I mean, Shenmue 3 getting kickstarted and everyone freaking out about it, and now we got Sean's opinion on it being garbage, and it's like, yeah.
Well, to be fair, most people who played it are not big fans of Shenmue 3.
But MVG is absolutely right. People still yelled at each other back then. It took a while. You had to reload the page.
Yeah, you had to refresh.
It had to slowly go down, put all the pixels in.
I think also you had to seek it out. Nowadays, it's literally thrust into your face.
That's true. I mean, you had to look for it rather than on your desktop as soon as you wake up in the morning, type of thing.
Well, you still do have to seek it out a little bit, unless you're like plugged into it, like all of us are. But most normal people, that's not what they're dealing with day to day if they don't care about it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. A lot of my friends do not have Twitter or
I didn't have Twitter before I had a YouTube, and I was happy chilling.
So. And now you're miserable.
Brighter days.
Move to a cabin in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, now I have to get away from it all in this cabin, and yeah, exactly.
It's also easy it should be easier to look a lot of stuff up now and figure out if it's like if they're lying to you on the box. So I have Rogue Warrior here, right? Might be a video about this one. Terrible game. One of the worst games ever made. I look on the back and it says best multi-platform game full of pure action. Blast Magazine. It's like one of those little spots like, hey, let's put a little accolade up there. That article does not exist. I can't find it anywhere. They've never written that ever.
Blast
Magazine.
They still do that. So if there's a game that's bad, okay, and they release an accolades trailer, and it would be like it's like great game, and like it's like really short for like no fucking reason.
It has those three dots in between.
Yeah, there is a chance that they're nitpicking. And there was this one game that I got advertisements for its accolade, and it's like a huge flop. Like, and it was very well known. And yeah, I saw that and I was like, there's no way in fuck like this publication would say that. And I went back and it was like great game, or like it's the greatest game of the year if you hate yourself. Like that's like the title of it. And like they really like picked and choose. I'm using an exaggeration for that, but a lot of it was like that. And it was incredible. So you can still find it. It's just you just gotta look for it.
It was different times back then. Different times. The language
Simpler.
reflected on those forums. You're right, Sean. That is a very edited video, or at least it will be. Let me go over. This was an interesting story from this past week with actually a game that Celia has been technically having to follow here just because of the different award shows she's been on. That's Baltro.
Yeah.
So Balattro's actually won quite a bit, hasn't it? A bunch of awards.
Yeah, they besides, the Game Awards sweep, like last night they won an award at the IGAs. They won Best Game Design, which is funny because I was presenting for that category. So I got to present to them and award them again. It was cool. Good to see my friends win.
Well, they did have Balatro go through the PEGI rating system.
Yeah.
Came back as 18 plus for Baltro. All right. Which it seems crazy when you think about it, because you look at the game, you're like, it's this pixelized like poker roguelike game. And when you look at their website, PEGI, they do say specifically on their site in 2020 they revised this, and basically if it teaches you how to gamble with something like poker, it's 18 plus. That's just how it is. And they Local Thunk posted up on their account over on Blue Sky and was like, okay, so we're 18 plus, but FC 24 is 3 plus, because of course they have the loot boxes and the games of chance there with real money, whereas Baltro is just you buy it and it just has the in-game fake chips or whatever that you use that are essentially when you run out you're done, the game's over. So that was an interesting comparison that they drew there, kind of showing the state of the rating system right now with PEGI. Which, are they going through PEGI because they want to have a physical copy of this thing? Is that why they're doing it? Or is it just trying to get in other countries?
You have to get to other countries. You have to release and be on those e-stores, regardless if you're going to be physical or not. I don't know. I think that's really stupid, to be honest. And I understand that there's gambling aspects to the game because it uses cards and other things. But like, I don't know. They should, if it's going to be an 18 rating, they should make it an 18 game. I don't know. Add cursing, alcohol.
Yeah, it should open it up for them to just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this whole thing isn't new. John, like the Call of Duty Halo stuff, where Call of Duty was always mature and Halo was always teen because it's violence against aliens versus violence against people. Like, it's just, they've always had those weird functions of just like, all right, these people are out of touch and just putting things on boxes and making money, which I think Sean has tons of videos about.
Isn't it interesting?
There's a massive documentary I watched where they hired a private detective to follow these people to figure out who they all were, so that they could. Weird. Yeah, no, they wanted to figure it out for movies specifically, because movies were getting like wild ratings, and they wanted to realize why it was happening. And it's just because a lot of the people in those places work in those industries and try to keep movies that are related to them easier to get access to versus other ones from the outside. Like, it's a whole thing.
It's almost like they're the real problem.
They didn't disguise it well enough. They're a little too upfront with the poker stuff. So that's FC was smart. They disguised, they covered it up.
They just
with
rename the
loot box
hands.
stuff.
Just rename the
And-
hands. You'll be fine.
Sean, you play NBA every year. Do they? I mean, you don't really check out the My Player thing. Remember that one year where they tried to put an actual slot machine in the game?
There still is one.
They still have that. I think that's
Really?
3 plus as well.
And it literally, I get so disgusted whenever I play it because like every time you move, hey, buy this virtual currency, you got to get this virtual currency, you got to get this My Player, you got to get these My Team cards. Like, shut the fuck up. I am playing a basketball video game. I am here to play basketball, to put a ball into a hoop with athletic men. All right. I'm not here to spend money or women. They got WNBA in there now too. Shout outs. But yeah, it's so egregious.
Wait, time out. So Halo got a teen rating because we had to change
I think
things.
some of the early ones, yeah.
The early ones had mature. Now they're teen rating. They played around with it to get it there, but
Yeah.
the early ones did have mature. So Halo 1, 2, 3, I think 4 I think was mature. It was a big thing when Halo 5 went teen rated because the fan base didn't like it.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because we had it for Cyber Shadow. I remember that we had to change to make robot deaths look like less like blood, and it was like wires coming out. I don't know. It was
Well, there
it
was-
was really weird.
Well,
Change it to green.
Contra had the two versions, right?
Yeah.
One was robots and not people.
Yeah, Probotector. And
Yeah.
well, that was because Europe was on some bullshit during that time. So you had Probotector versus Contra. You had Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles instead of Ninja Turtles because you couldn't say ninja or something. It's just, yeah.
Man.
Wild.
MVG
The-
had it tough over there.
Yeah, the Australia stuff where you couldn't have the grenades blow up zombies and Left for Dead, and instead they just
Australia,
vanished.
I was talking about
They
India.
just disappeared, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. They just had them just blink out of existence when the grenade
That's
went
funny.
off. Yeah. It just brings up the ratings board and just how I don't know how
Stupid
strange some
it
of the
is.
policies are. But also, this is the first time I've heard anyone really discuss loot boxes in like a year online. That conversation just completely disappeared. That was such a
Well, yeah,
big thing.
because now
Some
it's
countries
become
dealt with it. Yeah.
and it's become accepted. Now you expect it. It's kind of like, you eat a weird food or something, and you're like, but then you keep eating it, and you're like, well, whatever. I'm used to it now. You get used to it.
Seems like that should be one of the things people talk about online more. Is the
It-
loot box stuff.
But what
It
can
kind
you
of affects
do?
things.
I think the problem is, what are you going to be able to? Are you going to be able to do anything? Is your conversation, because it's an old conversation that's been around for a while,
No.
and things have gotten progressively worse than and it's kind of like, well, you're just talking to a wall at this point. It's like, okay, most people
Right.
don't like loot boxes, but
Well, I mean, okay, if most people didn't like loot boxes, they probably wouldn't exist. Most people who play the games do buy the loot boxes. So
Right. But
like-
do you think that they like them, or do you think that they feel like,
I don't think they think about them.
see, that's what I'm saying. You condition these people.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
like-
just
it's like-
over time it just kind of numbs them. They just
It's
don't
like
think
that
about it.
asshole we know that keeps buying the battle pass in Call of Duty.
Me?
It's not me. Not
But-
me.
but, hey,
I do.
guilty conscience speaks. That's all I'm saying.
I mean,
That's all I'm saying.
they have you the coins, and when I have enough, I buy it. Then I haven't bought it with like actual money
Is
So
that
the
the
battle
case for
pass in
others?
Fortnite pays for itself.
last year. See,
You buy it one
pays for
time,
itself,
never
Shimon.
have to do it again.
As long as you play a ton of it, which is what they want you to do.
Well, I mean, I only
you
get the
bought any
battle pass if I'm
skins?
gonna go crazy with it.
Have you bought any skins in Fortnite?
No, because they're like 2,000 V-Bucks, which is like $20.
wow, for one skin.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What's the conversion
Whoa.
rate to other countries' currencies? Can you change from V-Bucks to them? That'd be cool.
Interesting. I might have to do some loitering, or what's that called? Oh, wait, what's that?
Loitering. You
Laun-
can hang out outside
Laundering.
laundering, money laundering.
outside
Laundering.
Epic Studios. Hey,
Yeah, I
what's
might
up?
hang out with Epic a little bit, see what's up.
I didn't realize the skin prices were that much now. Jeez.
No, they are ridiculous. I've only ever like the only skin I have that wasn't in the battle pass somebody like gave me because you can gift them on Fortnite, but I've never bought one myself.
I saw people mention Marvel Rivals. One was really expensive too for the skins.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's just like a
Yeah,
thing now.
Rivals
20
is
bucks.
weird.
So, although, wait, with Halo, I feel like we looked at Halo Infinite store at one point we were playing, and those like those armor sets were really, really expensive, like more than you expect. So, well,
He made Josie leave.
Her computer's
Josie.
battery ran out, I guess.
their battery exhausted.
Oh, Todd Howard's here.
It is Todd Howard. Hey, shout out to Fransby, gifting 20 Spawn Wave memberships. If you got a membership from Todd Howard, aka Fransby, make sure you drop some emotes there in the chat for him. Shout out to Oh, there it is. Christmas Skyrim.
What's
Shout
up
out
with that
to
Skyrim thing
You
that's
mean the
going
Oblivion?
around there? Oh, yeah.
Oblivion
Oblivion.
remaster?
Fransby should drop the exclusive in the chat.
Make sure you fix the weird dynamic that the beggars have in the game, where when you talk to them and they're asking you for money, they sound like very like royal and prestigious, and they're like, I can eat for a day off a single coin. And then if you give them a coin, they're like, thank you, kind sir. It's like, what the fuck just happened here? Like, what is going on?
Actually, you know, that is something that's come up. And yes, MVG is probably going to say this too. I know MVG and Nate. I think this is on Nate's show 2 years ago, or so. Nate's mentioned it before. I don't know if you were there. I assume you were, MVG, or somebody was with him.
I was.
Yes, it's been mentioned that Elder Scrolls for Oblivion is getting a remake. Is rumored a couple years ago. Actually, remember it showed up in the FTC filings with Microsoft, and it was supposed to have come out fiscal year 2022, which it didn't. So there you go. But it seems like people are now expecting it to come out next year. Sean now.
Lex.
Okay. Okay.
You remember how
I realized
from the game?
I realize it's been almost 20 years since the game came out. Came out March 2006, which is, yep, I know. I see. Hard to believe it's been almost 20 years. By the time this comes out, let's say it's fall or holiday of 2025, it'll be 19 and a half years since its release to get this remake, which is absolutely ridiculous that it's been that
crazy.
long.
Crazy to think about.
I remember I would, you know, the little shanties outside of the castle. You could like jump onto like the little fence part, and then when you would jump, you would hit your head on the overhang canopy, and you could just sit there and jump to get your skill up really high. I used
That's what everyone.
jump,
That's a bit. Yeah,
really.
people did that in Morrowind too. You find a spot in a cave where there was a ceiling, so you wouldn't jump and then die from the fall damage.
Yep.
Yeah, that was, man.
I played that game a lot, honestly. Like that's how
was
I
a good
remember a lot
It's
of that.
been like it's been a long time since I've like fired it up. Like obviously people just default to Skyrim now. Kind of want to now just to see. I feel like it hasn't aged great.
I mean, it still has all the same jank. You can get a spell to put someone to sleep for 0.1 second and then just beat them to death while they're falling over and then getting back up over and over again. It's great. Get over 100% chameleon and then just stab people who cannot fight back because you are invisible.
I mean, it's a Bethesda game. Even Starfield and Fallout 4 have the same jank. So I don't really feel like it's going to be anything that different.
But I think that's a good comparison for the retro versus modern thing, because when that came out, at least on consoles, there wasn't anything like it. Like, yes, you had Morrowind. You had Morrowind on Xbox, which was okay, but really that was like the big game on the console side of things. Whereas now, if you see a game like that, you're like, oh, okay, another one of those. It's like a lot of the magic has kind of worn off. Unless it has a cat in it, and then it just
the freedom in that game at the time. You're right, was insane when it came out. Just the fact you do whatever it was like overwhelming to a degree. And I mean, we haven't had a lot of those moments like that had in the beginning where you walk out into the world, and we call it like the Oblivion moment, kind of still. And I would like to, that'll be really cool to have that recreated.
How
in this remake?
No, you're not going to, because I mean they've done it with every game they've released. Nintendo's done it with a bunch of their games. It's now like a common occurrence.
It's like Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. You lost that initial wow that you had with it. Like, it was still cool.
Breath of the Wild kind of wowed me when you get out of that cave the first time.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly because I mean in your head you're like, there's no way Nintendo could. Oh, okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Breath of the Wild, it had that awesome wow moment, and then Tears of the Kingdom, we're like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. It's cool. It's cool as fuck, but yeah,
you're right.
Now
right.
I'm in the sky.
You can only do the same trick once. I get it.
Right.
But I mean, there's going to be an Unreal Engine 5. Like, visually speaking, I would assume this is going to look really good because Virtuos apparently is doing it, and they're pretty talented. So I'm excited to go back. I know we talk about how we get all these remakes and remasters. This is one where I'm like, okay, it makes sense. This is a good one to have.
I am very quietly confident about this. But this, the thing about this one though is, no, I don't know anything about what's going on. But the thing
Calm
about
down,
this one
Reddit.
is, the game was based on like Creation Engine version 2, maybe, or version 3.
Right.
So I don't know how much time, and if it's even possible to fix a lot of those issues or try to make the game better in 2024. So this one could go either way for me. It could be something really special and like the game that they always wanted to make type of thing, or it could just be the same game with the new coat of paint. With the same
T-posing while jumping, basically. Yep. And when NPCs talk to you, they do that weird thing where they just keep eye contact while moving around. You're like, what's going on?
I tend to think it's that more so than like a whole big like revival of it. I mean, maybe that's just the pessimist in me. But if you expect little and then you get surprised, then you're happy.
I guess it was going to come out in 2022. I mean, this thing could have been in development for a while then.
Yeah, but it could also have been sitting because of timing issues. I mean, they had to push Avowed because they had so many games.
True.
So
backlog, man, that backlog,
the Xbox backlog.
I'd be here for the 20 thing. Although that is interesting you mentioned that because we'd get Avowed like at the beginning of the year, and then we kind of get a similar sort of game, this remake later on. So yeah, but I think it's classic enough for people to be really excited about. And I mean, there are people who have basically played Skyrim. I don't know, Josie, have you played either of his games?
I played a lot of Skyrim.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you didn't play Oblivion. I figured there'd be a lot of people now who didn't play Oblivion but played Skyrim.
Yeah, I never played Oblivion, but I've played a ton of Skyrim.
Okay, good stuff. See, that's what I mean. I think this is going to be new for a lot of people too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, all the games they release are always, they add more mechanics, so you're going to be going into something that loses mechanics. Like you're going to be getting less. Although I will say the guild missions in Oblivion much better than Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
That's why I like Oblivion better than Skyrim for that reason.
The thief missions were
the guild
so good.
Yeah. What about that? That's yep. That was good. Or just going around assassinating people.
John about to spoil everything right now. Remember that one mission where you
was it? And I'll get it. It'd be like Final Fantasy 7 all over again.
Yep.
I don't think I ever played Skyrim.
Bought it, John.
How you're supposed to. Like, I've never done any of the missions in there. I just like my brother played it, and I would pick up his save file and like get him dogs and make him a house. And I think you can adopt a daughter.
You did the Animals Crossing version of Skyrim, yeah.
I kind of did, but I used to pickpocket everybody, and then I'd like stab them from behind.
Just like real life.
When did I do in real life?
I just fast traveled everywhere and beat that game in like 5 hours.
That's kind of the idea, though, Josie, is they're supposed to be very open-ended, and you kind of sure they have like a set path you can go on, and then side quests. It's sort of like make your own adventure kind of game. That's the idea of it. So.
Yeah, that's literally what I did. I didn't even like realize there was so much combat and like magic in that game until I was like watching my friend play it, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. So like when Oblivion comes around, there you go. You can check it out. I mean, it's going to Game Pass, I assume. It's Microsoft first party game.
Well, isn't it already on Game Pass?
Oblivion is now.
The original.
At this point, I mean, you can play that one, but again, I'm wondering how that's held up. I'm curious because if you go back and play Morrowind right now, it's rough without any mods or anything. It's you'll sit there swinging at like a rat for like 10 minutes trying to hit it. it's bad. And if on the original Xbox, look, it's impressive that it's there. Man, that thing is rough. I tried it when I was doing an Xbox video, I think a month or two ago, and it was
Xbox.
Thank you. It was tough. It was not great. But hey, we'll look out for that. Look out for that. I think people are saying maybe there's a January developer direct, and maybe they go to Bethesda and Virtuoso and showcase that. So, we'll see. We'll see what they have for us there. Let me go over to this is an interesting story because while it has to do with a market research firm, it got people discussing the idea of, okay, we kind of know who they would be referring to here. The idea is that next generation, which this is kind of a tough thing to discuss anyway, because the generations are so staggered right now. Like we get Nintendo coming out halfway through Sony and Microsoft generation, and then we'll kind of do the same thing again when the PS6 and the next Xbox comes out. But essentially, a market research firm, DFC Intelligence, they have an annual market report and forecast, and they believe that in the next generation, there's only going to be room for one non-Nintendo console. And they're not ready to say which system it would be technically, but everyone kind of looked at this and said, well, it's probably going to be PlayStation that would be taking up that spot.
I was thinking Dreamcast too.
Oh, well. Yeah. So they're not outright. They say that they think Sony would be the one that would probably be taking up that primary spot. But they also say that it kind of comes down to who gains the early momentum. And technically Microsoft is looking to, we assume, launch earlier than Sony at this point. So I don't know if anyone has any differing thoughts on the idea that it wouldn't just be Sony and then Microsoft in a distant third position in that next generation, because we're seeing what's happening right now with Microsoft, and people are already having a conversation around their strategy when it comes to their console at this point. But it's also interesting to think that back in the day, it was Nintendo is just doomed. Nintendo doomed, right? Was the Nintendo doomed or whatever was the thing. And now they're like, oh yeah, Nintendo's just whatever. They're off doing their thing. They're going to exist. But these other two, who knows?
I don't know. I don't foresee Xbox completely getting rid of their console in the next generation. Eventually, maybe just how they're positioning their things, but they're from looking at their strategy, they're spotlighting everything rather than just their focus on console. But I don't know. I feel like people are just trying to console war it than like a definitive end for one of them.
Well, what would we consider them to have as like a dropped console? Because there was always that idea that they would drop basically almost like a Fire Stick TV box that syncs to their servers that you could purchase and then just play off your TV on. Like, would that still be a console because it's a box that has their little X logo on it? Or
I mean,
would it have to be something? Would it have to have a hard drive and actually play local? Is that what we would limit that to?
I feel like then that would start a conversation of what actually defines a console, and then do we all agree with that? And there'll be a new Twitter discourse argument that we'll have to discuss.
I'll let that burn while I go do other things in life.
Right.
I mean, that kind of worked into what happened with Xbox in general with Satya Nadella, where he had a Q&A with investors. And I think Steven Duttil reported on this at GameFile. And it was mentioned that they're redefining what it means to be an Xbox fan. And then Jez Corden just threw out on Twitter that the days of the permanent console exclusives for Xbox are over. And I feel like we've heard this a bunch. For some reason, this is like one of the top stories if you look around on all like the different social media platforms and stuff, people arguing over it. I feel like we've heard this like multiple times, not only this year, but even last year. Like I feel like this hasn't been new since they put like Sea of Thieves or Hi-Fi Rush on other platforms.
You got Starfield coming to PS5 alongside of the DLC. Remember that?
Well, we'll see. Okay, that could still happen. But like Indiana Jones is going to PlayStation in the spring. So it hasn't really, I don't know. It was weird that this was such a shocking thing for people online to where they were like, how is this happening? It's like, hasn't this been happening the whole time now?
I think I don't know. Some people think that Xbox is brilliant for doing this. Maybe they'll end up being right, but if it just comes down to just Sony and Nintendo, man, it's gonna be so fucking boring.
Wait, who has openly said that they're brilliant for doing this? I'm just
Xbox
curious.
fans.
No, I mean, there's a lot of people who think it's a good idea. I always get pushback when I talk about Xbox stuff. Because I say I don't understand the idea, but
I imagine some investors like it because they're sold to them as people will buy anywhere now.
Yeah,
well, there's no restriction.
Their strategy in general, like for years, has been the console wars are over. So where can we have user acquisition on their own console? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of curious I'm not taking a side on anything because like financially it's making more sense.
Yeah, it seems like you picked a side.
Okay, Jesus
Yacht
Christ.
Club Games believes this.
I hate all of you. No, it's one of those things where it's like I'm just kind of curious of what's making I guess, sense for them because like financially it does make sense because yeah, like shareholders are happy.
Yeah.
People are purchasing more properties that are owned by them. So obviously it's just different cash funnels. But like as a brand of having that Xbox centric person, like, you know, like Fan Fest, what they used to hold. Remember that? That was really fun. I miss that. It's just kind of, you know, it's getting really diluted, and I hope they continue it on for next generation. I really enjoyed that.
They will, and I agree with you, Celia. I think, look, these prediction people, these analysts, how many times do they get this stuff right? Look at Michael Pachter and Sirkin Toto, and I mean,
Doctor Serkan Toto. You put respect on
all these predictions are just absurd. I don't see Xbox exiting the hardware market for a while. Definitely not next generation. Probably the generation after. I mean, we've got a kind of a look at their roadmap of what they want to get to from the leaks last year, from the court cases with Activision and all that stuff. I think they've got a long-term strategy. They're kind of running through it now. Will it be successful? That's a different conversation, but I don't think they're planning on leaving the hardware market next generation. That I can't see that.
Yeah, I think they'll be around in hardware only because I still see them make the Surface stuff, and they have Windows on so many different computers and tablets and other things. They don't have to make Surface, but they still do it. So they have an entire hardware team even outside of just Xbox, and it would be weird to say we're not doing Xbox consoles anymore and then just, I don't know, get rid of or reassign all these people to something else that might not even be around for them to work on. So I kind of feel like they'll keep that Xbox or just a console in general, probably for, I think, next generation, then probably the following generation. But by then we'll be in almost 2040 territory or something. Who knows what gaming looks like at that point? It
There'll
could
be ash
legitimately be
wastelands, and we'll all be fighting to survive.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Like
we've talked about this before. I'll have my mini PC with my 10,000 games. I'll be good
in a bunker.
You're still gonna be around in 2040?
I don't know.
Head in a jar, Futurama style,
or Walt Disney style.
Yeah, cryo frozen.
Who knows?
I think Microsoft's, I mean, if their strategy really is to really tackle the ecosystem side of things to where your experience is the same on PC, on your phone, on a console you can buy, on the Fire Stick TV 10, 15 years from now, and they can make that work, then technically, yeah, their platform is no longer a box. It's Xbox is just, it seems weird because their advertising now doesn't make a lot of sense because they're not there, but it's like everything technically is like an Xbox then, I'm sure.
At that point, their platform's a server farm. I mean, I imagine they could still work on it.
I think that's what Microsoft kind of wants. They want everyone to look at that as the Xbox, and we just also make this box that plays Xbox games. Like, is kind of I think that's their strategy and idea. MG's right. Will it work? Honestly, no one knows. That's the thing. Microsoft keeps doing this thing where they're just trying something new. Like they did it with Game Pass, and I don't know if that's worked out as well as they would have liked it to, because they're kind of stuck apparently with their subscriber numbers and like the maybe to high 30 million subscriber count after Call of Duty came out. He'll just be a vintage gamer.
Not wrong.
That's clever. So that's one of the things I'm always interested in following Microsoft on is what is this going to work now? Is this going to work? Because they keep trying random stuff. So the traditional game console, I think for them is a thing of the past now. So I think they want to try all kinds of stuff, which, I mean, who knows? Maybe the new generation comes up and it's actually great and they like it and they just play their stuff on tablets. Maybe that's the case. So wouldn't shock me. See some of the kids now. I wonder if they're going to know how to use controllers. Honestly, they're more adept to touchscreens at this point.
There's nothing like a controller. There's nothing like a controller, John. Touchscreen controls suck.
Yeah.
Like, that should never, ever be the future. Those are terrible. The Roblox kids, you know, it's because their parents won't buy them a controller because they're getting too grimy. But once you get older, you need a controller.
Unless they just grow up on Roblox and that's all they know and that's all they want.
I think we should ban that.
Eventually.
No TikTok ban, but Roblox ban.
Why not both?
TikTok's all right.
TikTok's great. I'm addicted.
You're addicted to.
Oh,
Okay, so
I
there you go.
am. Oh my god. I built my For You page brick by brick, and I'm gonna be really sad when it goes away.
Dude, so did I. Mine is so specific.
It's so good.
It's all pimple popping.
Mine is like
No.
mine is
That's
like
what they
these-
tried to do to me when I signed up for it. That's why I uninstalled it.
I got
That was
on
the
frog
first
TikTok
video
for a
I
long
saw.
time.
First video I saw was a pimple popping video, and the next one was a guy crying because his neighbor killed his dog. And then I was like, I'm uninstalling this.
Okay, yeah.
I
but
don't
that's-
wanna
That's
watch
what you're supposed to
this.
do. So, but yeah, so you start TikTok, it's very jarring, but then you keep on scrolling and you only watch the videos that you care about, and then like instantly, like you'll only get fed videos you like. Mine's
Too
like
much
all
work.
like cooking
much
and
work.
food and cats and video game news and fashion
seen-
icon
I've
things.
seen my content lifted and put on TikTok sometimes.
People yoink
Yeah.
your that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Some of my
Sucks.
shorts are on there, and I was gonna like report them, and then I'm thinking, nah, it's free publicity. I'm
I
gonna leave
mean,
them.
TikTok,
Let
they
'em.
don't make anything either. Like,
Yeah,
they,
they
they
don't.
pay them
It's-
pennies. If
It's so
anything.
little. If anything, it is free advertising. Unless they claim to be
Mm.
you or ask for something, it doesn't really.
Link to their own channel of you.
Yeah.
Link to my Patreon and my my
Okay.
Streamlabs. That's what you want.
MVG going to stream out Dogecoin next week at this rate.
Oh, geez.
No, I don't. No, I didn't get in
He likes
on
that talk
They
to
gotta
a
take
coin.
they can take over his channel.
I didn't get on that PDF scam that's going around right now.
Yeah, people be careful with their emails right now. They there's a lot of scam stuff going around, a lot of phishing emails. So don't leave your computer open where your kids can get to it. You know, that happens a lot apparently. Let's let me see.
Talk to a coin.
Yeah, don't
Oh my
don't buy
God.
into any influencer coins either. My gosh, don't do that. Do not do that.
Isn't she getting sued or something right now?
She
Yeah,
just
but
like
she-
dropped
yeah.
off the face of the earth.
Yeah, she
too.
apologized. She came forward and said, I'm sorry. And yeah, I know you're all hurting.
The way she talks is so funny. She's like a cartoon character.
Oh my gosh.
We have so we did have MG, did you watch this? I feel like this is something that would have been like up your alley with Mark Cerny.
Didn't watch it.
Oh, you missed the ASMR deep dive on the PlayStation 5 Pro and AMD.
Didn't watch it.
No, you didn't want to see Mark Cerny tell you about, well, he didn't ask for Shape Your Ears this time, but he did talk about how they put the PS5 Pro together, their 4-year development cycle with AMD, their strategy now going forward. And strangely enough, at the end, which I was not expecting as I was going through this, they talked about Archie T-Bow. They talked about they talked about their plans for
RG2
next
coin.
generation. So they have now announced a deeper collaboration than before with AMD, and they've codenamed it Amethyst, which makes sense because AMD's red and Sony's blue, of course. So you end up with purple. And in this, their strategy is to come up with hardware and software that more closely integrates AI when it
Yep.
comes to upscaling and their PSSR technology going into next generation. Because Mark Cerny said, he's so they're on stage and said, I think we've reached the limits of what you can do with GPU hardware, making it larger, compute units, all of that. We're kind of at the limit now. We have to shift focus to developing these AI upscaling techniques.
Yep.
Which I feel like is basically what we've kind of all been discussing now over the last year, is their strategy not being about jamming more hardware into the box. It's more about these very intricate, which he went over it. I don't know how you guys do this, MVG. I have no idea. Some of the stuff he was saying looked crazy, which I'm not saying you're in there like developing the PSSR stuff, but it looks, I guess like the tool set and stuff they give you makes this a little less like he was showing like charts and graphs and stuff to try to make it all come out the other side, and it is insane looking. So engineers who have to work on that stuff is like next level, but that's kind of where we are now.
I mean, I think he's right. You know, it's not about just raw power, and it hasn't been, you know, for a while. And I think we're going to continue to see that kind of push into, you know, modern AI upscaling techniques and algorithms to make visuals look so much better. I think PSSR, honestly, I mean, when it works, it looks really good, as you've seen, John, with the Pro. And when it doesn't work, it looks like a piece of Vaseline. You know, it doesn't look very good at all. In fact, in some ways, it's better just to disable it rather than kind of use it, right? But I think PSSR is really the first kind of iteration of a longer roadmap again of what they're trying to get to. I think, look, I didn't really want to talk about the Switch 2, but I think the Switch 2 is really going to show us what, next level upscaling looks like, right, with DLSS in that system. And it could very well be that what NVIDIA has with with the new hardware is the best in class, above and beyond everything else that we've seen. So I do think that, it's not a numbers game anymore in the traditional sense about just pushing more performance, pushing more power. It's really about being smarter, and the upscaling thing, that is definitely one of those pillars that will define future generations of hardware platforms going into the next generation and beyond.
Yeah, made me think a bit about Microsoft's comments. Phil Spencer, when he talked about the PS5 Pro and why they're not doing a mid-gen refresh, and he just said it just didn't seem necessary at this point. Like the Xbox Series X is their mid-gen refresh, quote unquote.
Well,
and
let me ask you, because you are very non-committal. You never say anything. You're just on the fence all the time. Now that you have a PS5 Pro and you've been using one for what? How long? It's been out for about a month now, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was? Do you think it was something that Sony really needed to provide?
No, I would say not in the grand scheme of things. No, I mean, some titles like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, yes, it is a night and day difference. But like Black Myth Wukong, they put out a patch and I went and looked at it. It doesn't do anything for the performance mode, which is the mode I play on. It's for balanced and quality. And it's like, okay, well, it just means that balance is going to run at 40 frames better. It's like, I'd rather the 60 FPS mode work with that, but PSSR doesn't, unfortunately. So it's like, well, okay, that's just still going to look like the PS5 for me, I guess then. And it's right now I'm in this mode of waiting for Sony to show up with a game that's going to use it, which might be Ghost of Yotei. But as of now, it hasn't really proven itself to where I can say, yeah, go spend the 700 on this thing. It makes sense.
I think what I want to see is third parties have a good PSSR implementation. Sony's games, they all look pretty good for the most part. And that's because they have, the internal ICE team, the team of geniuses that come in and they make everything look great. They have a bit of an advantage, I guess. But as a third party, so far, have you seen anything PSSR that looks good? Like, I'm kind of thinking about the games I've played on the Pro. There's really nothing other than, I guess, Rebirth is probably the only one that is the exception for me that looks good.
I think if I had like an 85-inch TV and it was like ultra OLED panel, like the super high quality one is, maybe it'd be easier to tell. But it is the point where you need the side by side for a lot of things right now. And I don't have an 8K set, so I can't go, hey, Gran Turismo's 8K. Hey, you know what? You know what game actually does look a lot better? I will give them credit. Is
Mirage?
The game
Mirage.
From Striking Distance that
Callisto Protocol. I played and finished that too. Yeah, that's on the list.
Looks a lot better. Runs a lot better.
It does look better.
That's a great example of one that I can look at and go, yes, this is it. But my thing now is I'm in the position of waiting for new games to come out that take advantage of it. I just don't think the games we have now are really taking advantage of it, because it's been said, hey, these are built on older SDKs and they have to be updated and all this stuff. I thought when I got this, that, hey, Silent Hill 2 is going to look great. It's like that thing was messed up looking right away.
That's the biggest. That one's probably the biggest disappointment, especially compared to the PC version. And Alan Wake 2 is another one that's a little janky as well. But you're not wrong. I mean, these games were not built initially with the PS5 Pro in mind, right? It's something that they've kind of had to go back and add in after the fact. And that's a very different, workflow than a game that you build that from the beginning has PS5 Pro enhancements. So maybe it's a little unfair to kind of look at the slate now. Maybe 2025's games, will look better. And hopefully they will. But I mean, going back to the point, look, it's not a numbers game anymore. It's not about, who's got all these teraflops and stuff. All that stuff doesn't matter. That's all marketing mumbo jumbo. It's all about how to make games look good and how to make them run good with the cheapest possible way, and I think this is how they get there.
So you're going to have next generation, a lot of AI in your box. So ready for that? It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. He did say, though, it was odd, which I guess shows that they do pay attention to social media. He did address the teraflop thing, and he said that it was going around online. So he immediately recognized that, I guess legitimized it there, and said, technically it's 16.7 teraflops or 16 and a half for anyone who really cares that much. And then it was obviously a gotcha online people. And it's like, man, still the teraflop thing is still a thing for people with this, when clearly the focus is on a lot of supplementary stuff around it, with the AI upscaling being the biggest factor now. So this, I assume this is the way they can get a $600 box out next generation, is we got to figure out these models. And I mean, if it comes out and the games look good, even if it's upscaling from 1080p or 1440p and you can't tell unless you're told, I don't think most people are going to care.
Josie, do you have to go?
I gotta jump out of here. Sorry, guys. Love
Josie.
DLSS. Seems cool. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye, Josie.
Happy holiday.
Happy
Thank you
holiday.
guys too.
Have fun in the cabin.
In the barn.
I know, right? I was gonna say Amish country, but that was
Going
too
on
long.
Rumspringa.
Yes, he called it flopflation. That's what they called it. Thank you.
I did see the meme, the little photo.
Flopflation.
Thank you, Sean. I saw the meme, the photograph of that you posted. It was pretty funny.
Yes. No, technically, I said the PS5 Pro was. Now, when we were first talking about it, I said it wasn't worth. And also, someone compared my hair to the Xbox. Technically, the Xbox is down. My hairline's going up. Thank you. Okay, so we're good. We're good over here.
That's good. That
On
was
the
good.
move up.
That was not a
Thank you.
bad one. That wasn't bad.
Hey, the hair it still exists for now. If I can make it to 40,
You got 5 years.
Hey, all right, if you get above 40, then it's like, hey, he's 40. What do you want him to do? You know? There you go. I'll just become a Knicks fan and wear a hat.
I have hair. Everyone knows I have hair because I buried MVG in my retro versus modern video.
For the longest time, people thought Sean was bald. And
There's actually people in. Have you seen the comments? There's people that actually legit think that we're beefing, and that that I'm actually legitimately sad and upset about what you said.
Oh my god,
that's awesome.
Parasocial, love it.
So check out Sean's channel.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did I get that? Okay, so we got that. Let me go to, we'll go to the Spawncast. Actually, no, I'll look at the super chats. I did see the larger one here from Reese. Reese Pulfer says, happy and safe holidays to all. Your content is a daily watch and got me through 2024. Cheers 2025 and hopefully an amazing years for all. RGT Hulk Hogan walked out with Colby Covington.
I saw he had a little limp, so he had an American flag and he was using it as like a cane.
Well,
what the fuck?
Also, John, ignore the hair comments. It's looking luscious. Thank you. You just mentioned Hulk Hogan, and he didn't have much hair at my age, so
he never had hair because he did steroids, John.
Oh well,
yeah, that happens.
I don't have that hit pretty hard.
I don't have that excuse. Let's see. This is from Nelly, who says, "Shout out RGT and Josie for always keeping 100."
Thank you.
What about me, Celia, and
we lie
keep it
on
99. It's fine.
Keep it.
I'm holding it at least 75.
Probably around 60 today.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to most. Hanukkah for Celia. Just noticed leaving Sean out of that. What game are y'all most ashamed to have still in the backlog?
Oh man.
The Final Fantasy VII remake. I own it on PlayStation and on Steam, and I still haven't played it.
It's most ashamed for I'm trying to think of one right now that's like I'm most ashamed of. That's a good question. I guess right now would be Witcher 3 because I'm still. I need to go through that. That's gonna take a minute.
I don't really know what I would say because, like, I could say Cyberpunk, but I've started that game up so many times and it just hasn't connected with me, and I've just given up.
I only did the one ending for that game too, Cyberpunk. Yeah, I should go back and do another ending for it.
They're all about the same, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Ashamed. I don't know. I got nothing. Can I say Concord? Because I do have that, but I can't play it anymore. So I'm going to say Concord.
I think that's going to be a collector's item.
Forever. Just forever. Wait, I will ask you, Celia, why didn't you pick up Remake?
Yeah,
and start playing
Celia.
I just every time I like look at that game, I know how many hours it's going to be. I go, ugh, and then I just put it off.
She goes back to her watch party for metaphor. And all.
Remake isn't as bad as Rebirth. Rebirth is the one where it's like, oh gosh, the game just keeps going. Remake was like 30 hours, I think.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I have no idea. And then every time I put it off, and then it gives me anxiety. And one of my friends like loves that game and is like, oh, you need to play it. And I'm like, okay, I will. But then I'm lying, and then I panic, and then it's it's a cycle.
This is from Kami, who says, show your Steam, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation wrap-ups, guys. I didn't do the Nintendo one or Steam one. Evan, probably the Steam guy.
I did my Xbox One. Call of Duty was the clear winner, as expected.
Yeah, I put my Xbox One up on.
I tried to run the PlayStation one, and it had some error. I went back and did it the next day. I didn't post it on Twitter, but I think I had about 70 hours in Rebirth and 40 in Astrobot and 35 in Silent Hill. I think they were my top 3.
Do you know how many days I've played Black Ops 6?
How many?
A lot.
Is it
8? 31, it says.
31 total days, or you've only played it 31 days?
No, like total day, like so 24
in like hours.
31. Yeah.
I exposed Nate on the Xbox wrap up.
For what?
Also I put my on the PlayStation. For anyone who's still sending me requests on PlayStation, I'm sorry, the list is like full completely. It just doesn't work anymore.
Nice
my name
brag
is
there.
Mistake on that one apparently, because Nate did not want to share his Xbox wrap up because there was a game on there that he was not happy about. So the top game for him. He was like, I'm never telling anyone about this. And I was like, I have no shame with that. Let me see. I'll bring it up right now.
Was it Deep Rock Galactic? Was that Fraggle Rock?
Oh God, Fraggle Rock.
Was it that one?
Let me see. I think I can pull it up right now. There it is. Okay, I got it. How do I do this easily?
Share screen.
Type the name.
There it is. Well, I was like, for the
say it out loud.
Yeah,
it's the easiest way.
Yeah, just say it.
Present. I'll read it out. Share screen. Here we go. There it is. Boom.
Oh wow.
WWE 2K24.
Oh.
He did not want people to know that we spent almost 300 hours playing that game.
Oh my God.
That's incredible. Good for you.
Where do you see the wrap up? I never do this stuff because I don't fucking care.
The website's right up there. Year in review.
Interview.
And it would be me and Nate playing this at night after Call of Duty was all done. So there it is. That's what Nate never wanted to tell anyone, because every hour I spent, Nate has like a 1-to-1 hour, I guarantee, or close to it. Maybe it's a little less, maybe a little more, but it's right around there.
I will make sure I call him out on the next Nate the Hate podcast. About that.
How many hours was it?
Almost
299.
For 2K24, 289.
My Call of Duty is 303.
See?
Where did I have? Let me check mine.
I only have 38 hours in 2K 24.
WWE 2K24. That's it. Nate played a lot of that. He didn't want anyone to know. He was too embarrassed to share it. That's why he didn't share his wrap ups. There you go. He's been exposed.
What was your Call of Duty hours, Sean?
303.
Holy shit. Yeah, I'm 228 this year.
I play a lot during the day so I could beat up on little children.
It's his go-to.
There you go. So yeah, my PlayStation 1 though, you're right, MG, it was like all messed up. Like I don't know how Sony didn't understand that everyone would try to sign in all at once for that. But I think my total playtime on PlayStation was like 580 something hours, and it was like I think Rebirth was number one. It's like 78 or 80 hours or something with that. But yeah, that was funny. He just told me, it's like, I'm never telling.
I didn't
anyone
run
about
my
this.
Switch numbers
I will.
because I can tell you the only thing I played that was more than like 5 hours was probably N64 games on
Dude,
NSO.
one of my months was like 2 hours on the Switch. I think it was November. Oh yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, this one. All right, this is a good one. Here we go. Okay, here's some of the top games I played on. Here we go. Top games I played on PlayStation 5. I will share these for the people curious because I just got the window up here. There we go. Boom. Okay. So I have Rebirth was the top one at 87 hours. Astrobot is 56 hours, and that's because the kids play on my account too. So it's like everything just stacks up there. So I have 3 files. 2 of them are 100% complete. The other one's like 90% complete. The other one's like halfway done. They just restart the game. They just like Astrobot. Dragon Age Veilguard, which I did finish, by the way. 55 hours to beat that game.
Do you ever see your kids, or like do you just sit in the office and play games? Because
No,
you can't downplay it because we've got stats for Xbox. Now we have stats for PlayStation 5. You obviously play PC and Switch stuff as well.
So
Like, when's the last time you've seen your family, like in person?
Just before we were on here.
Okay.
You realize I'm at home like most of the time, right? But the way this works, and I thought about making a video of this someday. I actually work out a lot when I play games too. So that's part of it. Usually I'll get anywhere from 20 to 25,000 steps in a day because I actually am on like a walking pad or a treadmill when I'm playing my games. So my PlayStation is right next to that, and that's usually how I rack up this many hours. Although Black Myth Wukong would have been a game that probably would have like thrown me off the thing. Like, so, you know, Sean, you were doing that for a while, right? We were playing Call of Duty and trying to do the treadmill, and you fell off a couple times. Some games have that effect. So I think Black Myth Wukong was one that would have had that effect on me. Would have fallen off the treadmill trying to play it.
Racing games are hard too.
Yeah. So first person,
you want to lean with the turns. It's not good.
Is my screen frozen? Because my screen is frozen on this side.
You're still good on this side.
All right. I'll just let it run then. It's fine.
Just let it ride.
So yes, there you go. But yeah, it was probably 12 or 1300 hour year, maybe 1400 hour year with whatever a Switch was. Notable games though, definitely on the PS5 and Xbox more so than the Switch this year. So it's hoping maybe 2025 can change that a bit. There you go. That's some of the wrap up stuff. Let's see. Quest for Glory says, a friend and I agreed that the Spawncast should go back to Saturdays. Any hope of that happening next year? No plans right now, but it is posted up and we'll be there technically Saturday. So you can still watch it then. But we haven't had any plans about that. No, we kind of like Friday nights or Friday afternoon, evening, mostly for now. Zoop says, Playtime Secret Level episode was Boss Baby tier. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. The PlayStation one, unfortunately, was like the worst one. I do think that is correct. It's unfortunate. RDX says, could tariffs be final nail for physical media? I don't think anyone really knows. Unfortunately, we'll find out next year, and here's hoping it's not bad. DB says, John, I was frustrated seeing you label the discourse around intergalactic as controversy. It's not real controversy. It's fragile males making noise. Well, it's social media for you. But it's definitely they definitely have some discourse around them right now, and we don't have gameplay for it yet. That's what I'm waiting to see. I'm intrigued by Intergalactic, but I got to see what we're playing. Commander says Sonic 3 was peak cinema, and I'll hear no arguments otherwise. Seriously, go see it. I think I'm gonna go with the kids the week after Christmas. I don't want to go the opening week because it's like mayhem usually at the movie theater for that kind of stuff. I'll wait though. I'll give it 10 days after release to go see it. But I will go see it. Are you seeing the movie, Celia?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see it.
Okay.
I'm not sure when. Maybe this weekend. It kind of just depends when I have time.
Steve also asks, has anyone seen the Sonic 3 movie? So I will I'll make time for that one. Kids want to see it.
I heard it's really good.
Apparently it's better than the other two, is what people are saying.
Oh, lit. Okay, cool.
Oh, this is from Solid, who says, hey, MVG, does Carbon Engine use run ahead to reduce emulation lag? It would be great if the NSO emulators could use something similar to reduce lag.
It doesn't, only because the Switch isn't powerful enough to do it. And unfortunately, in that situation, you have to have parity between all platforms. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Switch is holding anything back, but you just have to say, look, we can't have that. But hey, there's new hardware coming, so never know.
I mean, I think we're to the point where we're like, yeah, the Switch is using a chip from 2015. I think we're kind of understand where it is.
It's just too demanding. We've tried it. I'm sure they tried it on NSO and stuff as well. But it's just too demanding on the Switch.
Dakota says, hello, Spawncast. I just wanted to say thank you. You've all, in one way or another, caused me to focus my C# skills, primarily web dev, to work on my first game in Unity. Look at that.
You're welcome.
Shout out Dakota. Oh, congratulations. Huddy says 2024 was loaded with incredible JRPGs.
It was.
Zoop says my game of the year is unironically Zenless.
I love that. That's incredible.
Let's see. Sly Rye says I'm going to download Class of 09. Play with my kids strictly because of Celia's full endorsement of it being very wholesome and family friendly.
No, it's like, okay, so my degenerate friend from high school graduated high school in 2009, and he's like, Celia, you have to play this game. Do not look it up. Just play it. And if I had looked it up, I probably wouldn't have played it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like everything. It's like the horrible humor of the pre-2010s, except it's like amplified. It's a shit show. It's a visual novel.
It's from Street Shadow, who says, I work in game dev publishing relations for one of the big platforms, and discoverability is a problem now. We deal with a few solo devs who ship 6 of the same crap. This is not like the PS2 years. Well, I remember there was an issue with PlayStation where they were doing the easy platinum games. Just basically, you give them $2 for the game and you get an easy platinum out of it. They had to cut that down quite a bit. So it's always someone trying to figure out how to get that kind of stuff on there. Barank says, Merry Christmas, y'all. Remember Overwatch loot boxes. And we have KC says, big news, rumor has it, no more Joy-Con drift. Saw that. Still have a lot of questions around it. I still have some questions around that. We'll see. We'll see what happens over the holidays. Kevin says, happy holidays. Shout out to Kevin. Oh, William says, MVG, can you review more 4K like you did Retro Tank?
Actually, I think I'm going to get one of those more 4Ks because are they $200 bucks?
Yeah, that's the thing I told John to fucking buy.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick one of those up. I'll make a video on it next year. Because a lot of people give me crap about having expensive upscalers and stuff. And this one actually is, I mean, for the price, sounds really, really good, right? So I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
And shout out once again to Reese Puffler. Shout out. And then I will go over to the Spawncast mailbag, as there are actually quite a few of them over here. There's 8 different questions that were submitted over on the Spawncast Patreon. You can head over there, sign up. You can drop some questions in there for us as well, and we'll have them up for different shows. Click R3, Spawncast, Game and Talk. We do different questions and go over them on stream. So let's see. We have Vegeta says, rate 2024 as a year in gaming. Personally, I'd give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. Yes, there were some good games released, but overall the industry felt like it was a down year filled with negativity online fueled by console wars, woke culture arguments, etc., as well as consistent layoffs. Closure. Here's to hoping 2025 will be better. Is there a number you guys have in mind for a rating for the year?
4 or 5.
What did the person give it? 7? You say
they give
7?
it a 6 or 7 out of 10 is what they gave it.
I'll give it a 7.5.
I'll give it a 7. Like right there at that 7 mark.
I'm fine with the 5.
2 for industry. 9 out of 10 for games. Everything I liked came out this year. I had Metaphor, Persona 3. I listed my list. I had a really good time.
If we're talking industry, it's a 2.
Industry 2, like completely.
Yeah. But he wanted it all together.
So
what's
5.
The average of 2 and 9?
5. You're negative Nancy with me.
Oh boy.
Let's see. We have Joe McKinnon says, with gambling ingraining itself into every form of entertainment, when will the Spawncast finally take a FanDuel sponsorship for over-under on Metacritic predictions? It's a good one.
That's
It's a good
crazy.
one.
There's so many of those fucking gambling sites nowadays. Like,
There are.
because I
can
watch a lot
gamble
of
on
sports
everything.
content, and like, there's FanDuel, there's
DraftKings.
DraftKings. It's like
Yeah.
fucking A, dude.
I got
How many of them do you use? You got a bookie?
I don't use any of them. I'm not a gambler. I go to the casino and lose $100. I am pissed, and I want to go home.
Yeah, you get too emotional about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money's
Are you getting those sponsorships, MVG?
Well, I got approached by DraftKings like earlier this year, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't promote gambling on my channel. So I said no.
They're missing out on the over/under for Metacritic. People lose their mind on Twitter over that. It might be a good revenue stream for them. Let's see. This is from Christian, who says, do companies need to start self-imposing restriction limitations on themselves for us to get better performing and less buggy games, as it feels like companies forgot that limitations were the driving force of creative and unique games in years past? Not to mention that the lack of self-restraint on games is what causing longer dev time and poor optimization at launch in some games or series. Would it be great to hear MVG's thoughts as a game dev as well? I assume they're talking about scope. I think is what they're basically describing in a long way.
I mean, it's very hard to, give you a quick answer at the tail end of the episode. But look, you're right. I mean, scope just gets bigger and bigger. Budgets get bigger and bigger. The technology, even though it supposedly gets better, it also gets more complex. Unreal Engine 5 is a lot more complex than Unreal Engine 4, which was more complex than 3. And it's just the nature of the video game industry right now. Everything is just a machine at this point. It's not, no one's really stopping and thinking about what they're doing. It's just, we got to do this. We got to do this. The engine's going to make it, make us get to where we need to get to. But there's just so much pressure on studios to get games shipped out in time so publishers can meet their forecasts and stuff like that. I don't know. I could speak for another 30 minutes on this, but we need to move on. But like, games are just going to get bigger and bigger. John, we talked about this last night. The new Naughty Dog game. It's going to take the entire generation.
Yep, it's a whole generation.
It would have started at the beginning of the PS5, and it's going to probably release in a couple of years when it's kind of at the tail end. And that's where we're at with games right now. It's never going to get any smaller.
Yep. This is from Soil Tech, who says, most anticipated game of 2025.
I have mine. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. I love the Yakuza games. And I'm excited for this. It's going to be incredible.
Is it going to be a game that is officially announced and has a commitment to come out?
Yeah.
Or is it a game that
February 20th? Oh,
no. I mean the question in general.
I just said it's just the most anticipated, so I guess you could even one that maybe you're assuming is coming.
I'd probably put Metroid Prime 4 on that for now, but GTA 6 as well.
GTA
Supposedly
6?
coming out next year.
That shit ain't coming out.
It was between those two, Metroid or GTA 6. Although GTA 6, you're right, still kind of up in there. We'll see. Game Bro says, what's on your retro gaming backlog for 2025, since you are like all in on N64, Saturn, everything?
I mean, there's always stuff. Nothing that really pops into my mind. I would like to do a Code Veronica playthrough again. It's been a long time. It's been a very long time since I've played through that game. So I'll say Code Veronica.
You were Sean's very much like randomly will be like, oh, I should play this game. Just out of nowhere, just like, I'm gonna go play that game, like the N64 and stuff. You just kind of just pops into your head, and you just head out and fire it up because you have your little station set up there next to you.
Mm-hmm. I need to get a modded Dreamcast though.
It's worth the investment.
Yeah.
David says, seeing how for PSSR AI for PS5 Pro is not working great because it is a new program that has to learn before it is perfected. Do you think that is one of the factors why Switch Pro with DLSS never released in 2021, because DLSS was not up to Nintendo standards, and Nintendo, since rumor to use DLSS has been training the AI, and now it is ready? I mean, I think
COVID.
Yeah, I think the supply chain. I think honestly, supply chain issues would be the biggest factor for anyone making a game system over the last couple of years. So
Yep.
I think that's a big issue.
I mean,
Killed
that
the
was
Amico as well.
yeah. I was about to say that was the biggest issue with the Amico.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
So I
Hey,
think
we got
I think
backgammon now though.
yeah, as I mean, we'll know more when Nintendo eventually makes the announcement. We assume here, well, next couple months, really. But I think it mostly came down to procuring parts at a reasonable price because I don't think they want to launch a $600 Switch 2 or whatever. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, really. Derek Brown says, do you all really think the guy saying has a retail Switch 2 is genuine, or just someone with additional details saying so for a bit of extra clout? Well, you know what?
The
We are
Verge,
going to find out.
The Verge, hey, The Verge said, hey, this is
The
legit.
Verge
Now.
seems convinced randomly. They're like, yeah, we have reason to believe that they are telling the truth. And I'm like, all right, they saw some images. Okay. My understanding, the images aren't as convincing as it's being made out. But hey, you know what?
Hey,
They say it's Chris. They're gonna show it on Christmas. So
the Verge confirmed that, just like IGN said, hey, Catley, no AI, we're good to go. And I'm gonna believe them. I'm gonna believe that.
I heard there was a new trailer that they uploaded that has no AI in it.
they also didn't upload it to YouTube.
Yeah,
On Steam.
on Steam, because that's normal. Even though when you look at the history of the company, I use company in air quotes, the person behind it is deep into NFTs and
Super authentic?
yeah.
No.
Who would have Super authentic wouldn't lie to us.
I got the glasses with the fake nose and the mustache, man. That's crazy. Noah Sanchez says, what is the next big thing you want to see change in gaming in 2025? Next big thing to see change in gaming.
Business practices.
Yeah.
The industry.
Yeah.
Industry. Just
No,
all
I-
this.
The core of it.
I want to see the industry succeed again and not go down this path that they're in right now.
Same.
But I don't think it's gonna happen.
Hey, Sean. Shh.
Gotta collapse to rebuild.
You have to be
Sure.
realistic. You have to be realistic.
I don't know. I like my friends being able to, get.
I mean,
healthcare.
I don't have healthcare.
Okay, well,
I mean, it's in the heart because whatever is going to change now in gaming, we won't find out about for 4 years or 5 years or something when the games actually come out or get shown.
It's I mean, obviously I want the industry to thrive because the better the industry is doing, real talk, the more money I'll make because there'll be more shit to talk about,
Right.
Like I want things to be good for a multitude of reasons, but when you look at things, it kind of does raise concerns. And I think, you have to be realistic. You can't be overly positive. Toxic positivity. It's not a good thing.
You also can't be overly what would be the thing for the other side? What would you call
Overly
that?
toxic, overly negative. You
Okay.
have to
negative
there's
Nancy.
there is nuance to things. You have
Somewhere
to
in the
be-
middle.
you
Somewhere in
have
the
to be
middle of that.
nuanced. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see, I guess, if we're just what could change now that might be a thing in the future when these games come out, is creating games more for the creativity and the want to do it rather than just how do we make this game fit around this battle pass or how do we make this game fit around this monetization strategy that we drew up on the whiteboard. That's all. I think that's everything there. This is from Claw, says happy holidays, everyone. Shout out to Claw.
Happy holidays.
Zbat says happy holidays. Shalom, RGT.
Shalom.
Give my $1 to RGT.
He won't give it to me.
I'm going to give it to him in Call of Duty coins.
Oh my god.
All 75 cents of it. 70 cents of it. It's going right to Sean. Senor Bean says, happy holiday. Do you ever buy yourself Christmas gifts? I got myself an air fryer trying to eat healthier. I want to be skinny like MVG. Hey, the air fryer will come through.
Every day of
Come
my
through.
life, I buy myself Christmas gifts. Just like right now. I'm buying one right now.
What?
I bought
What are you buying right now?
I bought a Dreamcast.
The modern one?
Yeah, I found one for $3, which with original
Have HDMI out and
controller.
everything?
No, but I'll just get a fucking. I mean, John, you just need one of those fucking converters for like $30 or $40.
Well, you could also do VGA out with those. Then it looks really good still. You plug that into one of those boxes that converts it. Yeah,
That's what I do. I have a
But
VGA box.
Kaiko has an adapter that allows you to do VGA through the HDMI. It has a toggle on it. So if a game is applicable with VGA, you put it into that, and then it works.
Okay. Well, that's I think that's everything. Oh, well, Truly Epic says, "What's everyone's favorite gamer grub or snack or drink? Game grub or drink?
It's got to be pizza.
You get it all over the controller though. I'm trying to think of something that's like good but not messy for the controller. I mean,
Like
people
anything?
We've talked about this before. This is
we
I
have.
feel like this comes up every year as a Spawncast question. And I say the same thing. I don't play video games and eat at the same time. It's disgusting.
What about drinking? What do you drink?
Go on Amazon,
what do you
buy
drink?
a
I got
feed
7
bag.
of zero sugar. Look at that thing.
I mean,
Wait,
I can't.
it's not fun.
Whatever's in my vicinity, can of soda or water or whatever.
Okay.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Just throwing that out
Code
there.
Red like the old days.
They have a zero sugar of that too.
I know,
At least
that's
they
the one
say-
I get. That's what
At
I
least they
always
say
get.
it's zero sugar. It still kind of tastes like cleaning products a little bit. So whatever is in there is still in there. So.
You know, I think about that sometimes, but calories don't count if it says zero sugar on it. So we're fine.
Good stuff. Well, I think that's everything there. Yes. Okay. Let me go around here as we finish up. Let me start this time with Sean, since you're last time. Sean, where can everyone find you?
Find me on RGT85. Tomorrow we'll be talking about this, the Saru for the Sega Saturn, and why if you own one of these, you should have one of these.
Okay. Let me go over to Evan. Where can everyone find you, sir?
You can find me on YouTube and social media places at Kimmerix Project. If you're into tabletop stuff, hopefully we can get some battle reports going. And just tons of new videos. Just broke 8K subscribers. That's fun.
Oh, he's still Evan's on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Go check him out. He's putting out like these hour-long videos sometimes around the rule sets of like.
They're not an hour. I try to condense it so it's not as annoying as actually playing the game for some people.
Well, go check him out over there. Celia, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Celia B with 3 E's. I'm also on Game and Talk. We released our last episode for the year yesterday. It's fun. Go watch it. And then lastly, work plug. 1 month till the Shovel Knight concert happening in LA, January 19th. Be there or be square. It's real cool. Visit shovelknightconcert.com and use promo code SK30 for 30% off, I think. I still haven't tested it. Someone get mad at me on Twitter if it doesn't work. Okay, there we go.
What about MVG?
You can find me on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, at Modern Vintage G. I will be taking a break on videos myself. I'll be back early next year, probably the first week of January. I'll be back to making videos, but next 2 weeks, no videos.
He's done.
Happy
It's all
holidays.
I'm done.
It's over. Now check out MVG has a video next week. Sean's got one tomorrow. Evan's got one probably this week at some point.
Maybe. Yeah. We'll
And
see
Celia will have one at some point.
Eventually.
You all need to be really nice to Celia.
One day.
I keep on filming stuff and being like, nah,
And then
that
hating
sucks.
it and then trying again. At some
Okay.
point, you got to give up.
I
Just
know.
hands in the
So
air, roller coaster.
One day you guys will have it, I promise. It gives me anxiety. Thanks for reminding me. Okay.
You guys be nice to
Maybe
Celia when
yeah.
she drops that video. I think it'll be really interesting. So it'll be fun when it comes out. It's we'll be back on the 3rd of January. So not next week because that's between Christmas and my birthday, and I'm going to the beach. So I will we'll be back on the 3rd the following week. And we'll see you guys then.